Welcome to the Stock Market Millionaire podcast, episode number 19, U.S. stock market's top indexes that every trader must follow. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Hope it's been a great day for you up to this point. Hope it's been a great trading day as well. So let's talk first about what an index is. An index is basically, think of it almost like a mutual fund. It's a way of grouping a series of companies together. You know, you've got major indexes out there like the Dow, and like the Nasdaq and the S&P 500. There are others as well. There's the S&P 100. There's the Russell 2000. There are many indexes out there, but an index is just a way of housing or grouping together that series of companies. Now, does it mean they all fit together? They all do the same thing? Not necessarily. You know, the Nasdaq is very much tech-based, right? Where the Dow is very much blue chip based. But that doesn't mean they all do the same thing. And some companies are in multiple, if not all of those indexes at the same time. So if we look at the indexes that investors look at and the index that traders look at, for me, near and dear to my heart are traders. For me, and I would ask this question whenever I teach a live event, that's one of the first things I ask in the morning of day one is, what do traders look for? The Dow or the S&P 500? The Nasdaq is a whole other ballgame. And traders look to the market as the S&P 500. Investors tend to look at the Dow. But keep in mind, if you're a Nasdaq trader, and what I mean by that is if you're trading things like Apple and Amazon and so forth, then you're focused very heavily on the Nasdaq market as well. But when we look at a trader, it's the S&P 500. If you look at an investor, it's the Dow 30. That's where traders and investors tend to go, right? Now, if we back up and talk into each individual index. So as an example, you've got the S&P 500 as a trader. That's the one that I want to look at first. So I've got on my Omega charts, I've got pulled up by index. I can search and scan for companies. So as an example, Amazon shows up in the S&P 500, right? It is one of the major companies in there. From a price standpoint, from a movement standpoint, it's an amazing stock with the way that it moves, right? Along with that is a company called Apple. You may have heard of it before, not the green Granny Smith apples. That's not what I'm talking about. Ha ha ha. You know, Apple as the computer, the technology company is another one. Booking, right? The travel company. Google. Here's the interesting thing. You've got GOOG and GOOGL. Two different symbols, but they have a tremendous market cap between them because both of them are in the S&P 500. So when it comes to a standpoint of stocks that are in the S&P, there's a lot of big names. Now, are there little names in there too? Sure, I could sort the exact opposite way. I've got them sorted on my computer right now. And you've got GE, right, which is a $12.55 stock. The funny thing is, GE used to be responsible for 1% of the world's GDP. Now, I'm not thinking so. Not with the way they've been doing lately, right? Then you've got companies like Ford, $13.61 stock, comparative to a $3,000+ Amazon. All right, so the S&P is made up of a variety of companies, but it's called the S&P 500. I'll give you a second. Take a wild guess. How many companies are in the S&P 500? Yes, 500. Now, is it always 500? No, actually right now in the S&P 500, if you guessed 500, you'd be wrong. There are 505 in the S&P 500 right now. Go figure how they do something like that. Right, then we look at the Dow 30. Right, so let me go ahead. I'm going to pull up on my computer here, the Dow. All right, so in the Dow 30, these are very much blue chip stocks. Right, if I ramble down the list of some of them that are in there, Goldman Sachs, United Healthcare, Big Airplane, Boeing, CRM, right? Caterpillar, Home Depot, Amgen, Microsoft, Honeywell, Disney, American Express, JP Morgan, you get the idea. These are very much blue chip stocks. Visa, Dow, it's funny that Dow Chemical is in the Dow 30, right? These are great stocks. When you're trading options on these stocks, the one thing to consider is these are not big movers in many cases. Some of them will have some movement to them, but they're not big movers. So you're trading a company that is less volatile, which is why we want the Dow versus the S&P. There's more volatility in the S&P 500 than there is in the Dow 30. And then lastly, we've got the Nasdaq, right? So let's look at the top stocks to trade in the Nasdaq. So the top Nasdaq stocks to trade, we've got companies like Amazon, companies like Booking, you've got MSTR, you've got Goog and Google, Tesla, Nvidia, Roku, Biogen. I love Biogen, it's a great company. Let's see who else. We're losing some velocity with some of these now, right? Coke, but it's C-O-K-E instead of K-O. Zoom, ZM. There's some great companies. When you look at the Nasdaq Index Fund, or you look at the top Nasdaq stocks, these are some of the top companies. But there are so many companies in there. You know, on the Nasdaq, you have 100. On the S&P 500 companies, you've got 500, or right now 505. For the Dow Jones Industrial Averages, that is 30 stocks that we have in there, right? There's a great opportunity to trade these, but the important thing is understanding that each stock, each index will have some slightly different movement to them. And there are things called ETFs, exchange traded funds, that have slight variations to the index itself, meaning you can trade that. It's not the same dollar value because it's a percentage of, like the SPY is 10% of the S&P 500. And then there's the Qs and the diamonds and the Russell and so forth that you could trade. But you can take advantage of these as an individual stock in that index or trading the ETF in that index. There you have it, folks. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see all of you at our next update. Take care. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to our podcast, The Stock Market Millionaire. Now, we release a new episode every single week, which you can find wherever you get your podcast from. While you're here, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click below to check out some of the free trading resources that I put together just for you.